Hello friends, my name is Lauren and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I actually saw this video idea on Jesse the Reader's channel. I'll link his video down below if you want to check it out. But he actually did a book trope bingo, which is what today's video is. And I really wanted to try this out because I don't really talk about book tropes a lot on my channel, and it is kind of an interesting topic to talk about. And so today I thought we would do a little bit of an overview of some of my favorite or not so favorite book tropes, some favorite or not so favorite books that fit those tropes, and all that kind of stuff, just to have a little mini discussion. And if you guys like this kind of thing, I can definitely do more videos on book tropes. Just let me know in the comments down below. So for today's video, I have my little bingo sheet with a bunch of different book tropes. If you want to download it and try it yourself, links down below as well. And I also have some random emoji stickers to fill this out, so that's gonna be fun. And basically, I have this mug filled with little bingo squares, and I'm essentially just gonna pick one out. And let's say, for example, this one is B2, Love Triangle. I then will pick a book on my bookshelf and talk about it, and if I like this trope, and if I liked the book with the trope in it. Let's get started. So first off, we have a free space, woo, and now let's pick one out. 01, Found Family. For this trope, I decided to pick one of my not so favorite books, and that is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Now, I do think this trope can be really well done and really well enjoyed, and I do like it, but for this book, I didn't really like the found family we saw for this book specifically, because the main character had a family, but he didn't feel like he fit in there. But then he meets all these kids that are like him and found more of a family there. But I just felt the bond between them was kind of weird, and so for that reason, I didn't really like the trope in this book. I do like the concept of it though, and it definitely is a good trope. Not one of my favorites, but also not one of my favorites. But yeah, this book I actually didn't really enjoy too much, but I did like that trope in that regard. And now we can add the sticker onto my bingo sheet. Next up, we have 03, Book-Loving Character. For this one, I am going with Again But Better by Christine Riccio. Now, again, I don't really like this book either. It was an interesting concept, but poorly executed in my opinion. But the main character, what's her name? I forget her name, oh my god. Shane. Shane likes to read, and there's the scene in the book, this is a minor spoiler, but not too important, but she goes to a bookstore and finds one of the Harry Potter books, and she just sits and reads it for a bit and talks about how books are important to her and stuff. I like reading about characters that like books because I'm hey, that's me. But then I'm also it's weird because I'm reading a book about someone else liking books, and I like the concept, but I'm not sure off the top of my head. I can't think of an execution of it that I did really like. And that onto my bingo sheet. Next one. B5, I Have Powers. For this one, I'm going with one of my favorites, that is Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. This is also a minor spoiler as well, I guess, but it's kind of a huge part of the book, so it's not too bad. Just to give you a little backstory, there are silvers and reds in this world. Silver-blooded people mean they have special abilities, red-blooded people mean they don't. Mare is a red blood. She thinks she has no powers, but suddenly, due to some kind of events, she realizes she does. So I can't think of a better example for this trope because she literally discovers she has powers, and so, Red Queen. Boom. Next up, we got G5, Antihero. For this, I'm actually going with my current read, which is Renegades, and I would call this antihero, I want to say. I'm not 100% sure, because in the book, we follow literally we follow a superhero, and we literally follow a villain. It's literally, that's who they are as people. And so I would say the villain we follow is the anti-hero, because we learn that their motives aren't really necessarily bad, but they still do villain-like things. And so that's the anti-hero part of this book, I would say. And so far, I'm really enjoying it. I think I'm around 104 pages in, but I'm really enjoying it so far. I know there's this phrase in history, and it's history is written by the victors. And so when you see stories led by the heroes, you kind of just see the good side of things always happening. But if you see it from the anti-hero side of you, it's kind of flipped in a way, which is just really cool to read about. Bam. Next up, we got B2, Love Triangle. For this, I actually don't have the physical book, but I have a sequel. This is Ignite Me, but I'm talking about Shatter Me specifically in this series. If you've read Shatter Me, you know the love triangle that happens, and honestly, in that book, the love triangle definitely bothered me. I definitely say as the books go on, the romance gets way better, but I think there's a way the love triangle trope can be done well, but in Shatter Me, the first book, I would say it's not done very well. The rest of the books, I would say yes. I think it is very overused, and so you'd have to be careful with how you use it. And so for that reason, I would say I wasn't a huge fan of the Shatter Me love triangle. I would say I am a general fan of love triangles. I would say Red Queen has a pretty good love triangle in it. Overall, I would say I'm a fan of the trope, but not in the Shatter Me book. People all over the the bingo man here. Next up we have B1, the Golden Trio. Now for this one, I'm not going to do the obvious one, which is Harry Potter, but I am going to do the School for Good and Evil. Now, I definitely think the Golden Trio trope gets better throughout the books in this series, but I would say the Golden Trio is Agatha, Sophie, and Tedros in this series. And another thing that kind of happens with the Golden Trio trope is that two of the friends end up dating, and so this also applies to this book too, and I like the relationship we see between these three characters because they do have a lot of struggles throughout the book, but especially now in the later books, you can definitely see their like friendship getting stronger and their bonds getting stronger, and I really like that, and I'm interested to see how the story ends with the final book coming out soon. But yeah, I really like this trope in this book. Next up, we got 02 Magic School. For this, I am going to go with the iconic Harry Potter because what is the more iconic magic school than the one we see in Harry Potter, which is like Hogwarts. And I think it's super cool. I love the magic we see. I love like the building itself and all the magical elements it has. I think it's done really, really well, and overall I really do enjoy it. And I think Harry Potter is probably one of like the greatest magic school systems we see throughout like books in general, or at least that I have seen and I've read. I really like this trope, and I really like it in this book as well. Bam, we have like 3 up here, so we could end up having some kind of bingo soon. Next up, we have I3, Insta-Love. I know I already used this book, but I cannot think of a better example than Again But Better, and I would say as a general thing, I do not love Insta-Love. I want some kind of rebuttal between the characters. I want to see the relationship go. Shane, well, as soon as she meets this guy, she essentially is like, I want you. And it's like, but do you though? You just like saw him for like 0.5 seconds. Like, do you really want him? It's like, there's no like foundation to why these people like these people, and that's why one of my favorite all-time tropes is like strangers to lovers, because you get to see that relationship go. You get to learn how they become relationship stage. Technically this is strangers to lovers, but I would say it falls more into the insta-love kind of trope just because of how Shane's feelings appear for the guy like immediately, and so for that reason I would say insta-love is not one of my favorite tropes, and it is definitely not in this book as well. Alright, we could have a 3-way here as well now. Next up we have G4, Parent Keeping Secrets. For this one, I'm going with the iconic Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. I don't want to spoil this book because it is a spoiler, a major spoiler, so if you do not want a spoiler for Carry On, do not listen to what I'm about to say. We're gonna have a discussion now because it is very spoilery. The mage is Simon's dad, and that's a huge secret kept from Simon because he thinks he's an orphan, but he actually has parents. And the mage is actually kind of crazy, and it was only using Simon to get to his final goal. And so I would say that's a pretty big secret. 1, not telling your kid that you're their parent, and 2, not telling them what you intended for them like all along. So I'd say this is a pretty good example for this one. As for the trope, I would say I am a general fan of it because I think it can add some like tension and different dynamics in it. Especially in this book, I think it was done well and definitely added to the overall plot. Yeah. Next up, we have G3, Friends to Lovers. The book I chose for this is actually not one I have read recently, nor do I own the physical copy of, but it is matched, and I would say this does the Friends to Lovers kind of interestingly because the main romance isn't actually Friends to Lovers, it's kind of like the side romance at the beginning. But the reason it sticks out to me is because I really liked the romance. I liked how we see the friendship turn into like a relationship almost, and I think it was just really cool to see the dynamics of it and how friendly they were and how awesome they were together, even if it was just for a short time at the beginning of the book. And overall, I would say it is a pretty good trope because you kind of get to see the relationship further and that kind of thing from an already pre-existing different kind of relationship. We are very close to having a row right over here as well, and yeah, let's keep going. Next up, what do we got? B4, Hate to Love. What another good one too. For this, I'm gonna jump back to the Shatter Me series. Again, this is kind of a spoiler if you have not read at least like the first 1 or 2 books of Shatter Me, so pause the video now and skip to the next one if you don't want to be spoiled for it. But Juliet and Warner, oh my god, they started off like, or at least Juliet started off hating Warner so much, but then they get together and it's like, this is so much better than Juliet and Adam, and this is the relationship you didn't know you needed. And then also, huge spoiler alert for this book, we actually learned that they have a huge past together and their parents have been keeping it from them the whole time, and it's like, what is going on? And they've always loved each other no matter what, and it's so good. And I love the fact that they get into a like relationship. At first I didn't know if it would work very well, but then it works amazingly, and so I love it and I'm here for it and I love this trope. Next up, we have and one time travel. Now, hopefully no one like comes for me when I say which book I'm going to do, because I know the general opinion on this book is not very good. But I am doing The Cursed Child. Now, when I originally read this book when it came out, I liked it, and I have not read it since. I actually really enjoyed reading it, but I know the general hate on this book is a lot, and so I need to reread it. I feel like I have a more honest, open opinion on it, but I did like it when I read it when it first came out. Then again, I kind of liked every book I read, so I don't know if that's saying very much. Oh my god, this book's $40. Anyways, spoiler alert, uses time travel, and that's one of the main reasons I feel people don't like it as well. But I thought when I read it, I liked it. Honestly, I have to reread this book to give like a better opinion on it. But this book sticks out to me when I think of time travel specifically, just because of how much people talk about it. And even though it gets a lot of hate, I remember thinking it was like really cool that they were able to do this. I know now it's like kind of plot holey, but like, I don't know. I enjoyed reading it at the time. Don't come for me, internet, but like still. Overall, I think if time travel is done well, like it's a good trope, but I would say it's hard to do well. I would say Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban does a good job of it because there's rules in place. Only certain people can have these devices. But even then, like it's kind of weird how a little girl gets to have this crazy magical device. Anywho, but this is the book I thought of. That's my thoughts. We're getting our thing filled out. I just want a bingo. Next up, we have and to absent parents. So for this one, I'm gonna go with every YA book ever. Jokes, it just is very common, and I understand why it is, because since the protagonists in YA novels are teenagers, chances are they don't have all the freedom they would like to do what they want. And so to kick the parents out of the way means that protagonist has the ability to do what they want. And so for this one, I'm going with Ready Player One, as literally we learn in like the first couple chapters is that Wade Watts, his parents died, and he's more or less on his own. In the movies too, they promote this like a lot. It's like one of the first lines you hear, and just kind of funny like that. I don't know, but Wade does a lot of interesting things, and I definitely understand why they had to kick the parents out, because there's no way he'd be able to do these things if they were still around. And so while I understand this trope makes sense, sometimes it's pretty wholesome to see like good family relationships and stuff like that in books. For example, Radio Silence is an amazing book for this. Francis's mom is a real one, for example, and another character's mom is the absolute devil. I'm just saying. It is a good trope, but it is very overused. Alright, absent parents. We are getting our bingo chart filled out. Next up, we have and for Bad Boy with a Tragic Backstory. Now, as this trope exists in general, I would say for the majority, it is a huge like fanfic Wattpad trope that is used, and in regular books I would say it doesn't work as well because readers don't really want to see that. They want to see a character that actually grows and isn't just a sucky person. But yeah, normally I would say like the Bad Boy with the Tragic Backstory trope basically just means everything they do that's bad is like excused because they have like a tragic backstory and stuff, and then also they always end up with the main girl. That's how that kind of trope kind of works. However, I would say there are some good examples of this trope. The example I'm using for this one, I actually listened to an audiobook, but it is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, and Carden is the guy that fits in with this trope. This is a little bit minor spoilers. I have not read The Wicked King or anything, but this is just on The Cruel Prince. I want to see how the romantic relationship between Carden and Jude develops, because I saw hints of it, but like very minimal things. It's mostly just them hating each other. And so I would say Carden, while he does have like a tragic backstory kind of vibe and he's mean, that's the whole reason why the book's called The Cruel Prince. I don't know, I feel weird about it because I want to see the character grow. Maybe my opinions will further develop once you read The Wicked King, but I want to see Carden become an actual good person. Like, I like Carden because he's super interesting to read about, but I want to see his development in order for this trope to be one that I like in this book. We are slowly but surely almost getting a bingo. Next up we have G2 Sibling Rivalry. Minor spoilers, by the way. So for this, I actually decided to choose The Cruel Prince, and that is because the sibling rivalry we see between Jude and Taryn is one that I really like, because throughout the book they're like good, but then by the end there's this such intense rivalry between them, and I honestly was living for it. I thought the fight scene we saw between them was so epic, and the way the story ended and how kind of left on that cliffhanger, like we don't see their relationship get better in this particular book. So I'm wondering how it's going to develop in like The Wicked King and The Queen of Nothing, which I have not read yet, and I'm super excited to read those because I loved their dynamics, how it went from like good to horrible, and just the anger we saw between them. I know this is really bad, but it added such an interesting element to the book. I loved it. All right, we are getting close. Next up we have Next up, we have Manic Pixie Dream Girl, which is G1. I unhauled this book actually, but for this one, I am going with Red Rising by Pierce Brown. This is like a spoiler, by the way. To be honest, I forget the name of most of all the characters. Basically, Darrow and girl's name that I don't remember, their relationship seems so forced, and I honestly just felt she was in there just for the sake of being like the love interest for Darrow, so he could grow a bit and have like a purpose and stuff like that. And so I didn't really like it. I definitely don't like this trope because it's so pointless. It's like, let me just throw the girl in there for like the love interest. Woo, like it's so dumb. And so she was really boring to read about, not gonna lie. She added really no value to the story other than to just help Darrow progress as a person, and I wasn't here for it, and I don't like the trope in general. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we have created a bingo. Yeah, we got it right down here. Our chart's almost filled out. Wow. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I like talking about tropes because I don't really do this a lot on my channel, and so it's kind of fun to do and take a little spin on something that I have never really done. Shout out to Jessica the Reader for coming up with this cool idea, kind of coming up with it anyways. And yeah, if you guys want more talks about tropes or any kind of trope in general specifically, leave me a comment down below and let me know what you want to see. But yeah, that's basically all we got for today. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and comment down below if you enjoyed it, and also like the trope you want to see, if any at all. That's all I have for you guys today, and I'll see you really soon with a new video. So until then, bye.